It's story time. Okay, it says I'm live, so welcome to Storytime. I'm Kimberlyn with Life's Work Yoga, and look at that, you got a nice big shot of my microphone in the view. Sorry. So, yes, I've been talking for a while now about all of the technology that I am trying to learn between multiple cameras and multiple platforms, and yes, a big ass microphone. So, sorry, that didn't need to be quite there front and center. But my table's too small, to be honest. Okay, so let's get to the point. Story time. This is an opportunity for, I don't know what to do with this. Okay. Can I begin again? Can I start over and just pretend that the microphone is not there blocking your view? I need a moment. So welcome to Storytime. I'm Kimberlyn with Life's Work Yoga, and the purpose for Storytime is to share stories, to share real life examples of how living your yoga on a daily basis is an accessible practice. Doesn't matter how far you can reach toward your toes or if you can do a back bend. Can you breathe? Can you move? Can you cultivate space for rest? Those are the practices of yoga, and those are the ways in which we can very simply integrate yoga into our daily living. Well, I wanted to come to you today with a story about anxiety and what I'm learning now in this kind of pandemic period about my own struggles with anxiety. But you're going to have to wait for that story, because the story that I'm actually going to tell you is one that's so fresh in my mind that I'm still kind of in it, right? And that is the story of Take Two, right? And what I mean by that is that literally, I bought 2 of these magazines. Now, this is a favorite title. Its title is Breathe, is the name of the magazine, the publication, and it's my favorite for when I go on vacation. It's an expensive magazine, journal, $15, in which case I indulge when I go on vacation and read it cover to cover. And it includes, you can even see here on the bottom, right? It includes Science of Stress, Lift the Burden, Coping with Change, Daydream Believer, Project Declutter, Food for the Soul, Is the Grass Greener, Set Yourself Free. Don't those sound great? So this particular edition is the Stress Less Special. So, when I was at the grocery store this weekend and not going on vacation, I decided I wanted to bring a little vacation home. So I picked up the title, picked up this magazine, and I brought it home. In the back it says Breathe and Make Time for Yourself. Does that sound like something I would say? Yeah, of course it does. But the point being is that this was my attempt to literally create a little more self-care in a time when my life is honestly pretty chaotic, right? Kids at home, new business location, COVID-19, financials, you name it, right? So I wanted something familiar, but I didn't realize just how familiar, because when I sat down to read it, down here in fine print, it says a reissue of a Breathe Special Edition. And in fact, I have this issue. I have this exact edition from an earlier self-care indulgent vacation purchase. And so now I have 2 copies of this particular edition. Now, that being said, have you ever done something twice only to realize perhaps in the middle or even after it's done that you're like, oh, deja vu, I think I did this before? Yeah, so I was reading the titles and even kind of flipping through, looking at the pictures, and I'm like, I think I recognize these things. Addicted to Work. Yeah, I definitely remember that one. So I've decided that there's a lesson in here for me. But before I share the lesson, first the awakening. And that was when I told my friend about my double purchase. She was indignant for me. She was absolutely, they should have put in a bigger notice. She was defending me, right? She was being a good friend who's got my back. But then I kind of flipped the story on her and I'm like, I wonder what I'm supposed to be getting, what I'm needing to reread or rehear or remember, because this particular issue has made it back into my world again. So I have every intention of reading this as if with new eyes. But I also intend, after reading it with new eyes, to open up, to revisit my first edition. Oh, that's kind of fun. I have a first edition and a second edition. Go back to my first edition because I am a notorious note taker in texts. It's one of the reasons why I really still love hard copies. Right? I even did my doctoral work online. So it was a virtual study program with some in what do you call it? We had to come together twice a year for an extended time to study in real time. It was leadership and team development, so we had to have some human interaction. So anyway, my point being is that I'm very experienced with online learning, but I am so tactile. I need to hold it. So even though this book exists on my bookshelf at home, there was something very, very affirming and encouraging about holding it in my hands, tossing it onto the conveyor belt at the grocery store, and recommitting to making time for myself. Breathe, move, and rest. I've been moving a lot. I'm moving a lot of ideas, moving a lot of equipment, literally moving my entire library as I relocated the address of the studio. And I've tried to rest. I really have, but I haven't done all of the things that I know nurture me. One of those is taking time physically away from my day-to-day. And as you are probably experiencing as well, that's just not really feasible in our current conditions. Here's my mask. I took it off because I don't need it here with you. And thank goodness that we can come together in this virtual way. It's not the same. And I don't prefer this than being able to sit down and share a cup of tea, share a conversation, and not have to worry so much about where I place my microphone. It's not really a deja vu story, but the lesson is the same, in which case, when things start repeating themselves in our lives, it might be easy to dismiss them as ordinary. But the energy that we give, the attention that we offer these repeats, these revisits, might just help us learn the lesson so that we can then move on. Learning and growing and transforming is a lot of work. And it does require that we have a solid, stable, grounding foundation. So if you are in a place where you do not have that strong, stable foundation, please continue to do the work of searching. It's kind of a guess and check. It's kind of a lucky coincidence when you find a place that you can show up just as you are and yet be encouraged not only to soothe, but to transform. Once you have that space, once you have that physical, energetic community, I call it the circle. When you have that place, commit to showing up. That's one of the reasons why I do this weekly broadcast, is because it forces me to commit to being transparent and authentic and present in a space where I can come to no matter where I'm at, and anyone who might need this connection for inspiration, this connection for authentic encouragement, this opportunity to perhaps see that they are not alone. That's why I'm here. But it's in that circle, with that commitment, that transformation, this is from Stephen Cope's work in Yoga and the Quest for the True Self, is that he says that these 3 steps come together, that we find the place, we commit to the practice of being there, and transformation is inevitable just by doing those first 2 things. Now, that's not to say that there's not a lot of work that goes on here. Hence, I gotta read it again? I gotta do the work again? Yes, you come to the practice every day, every breath. And you do it again. You do it again as often as you need until something shifts. It's not the magic of the asana. It's the magic of practicing in a space that allows you to see yourself, to be seen and held to a standard of being and living your best life. So, honestly, I wasn't sure I was going to say this, but I already published it on Instagram and Facebook in my text this morning or my post this morning. So the real, not any less real, I guess probably the most actionable thing that I am committing to as a result of finding this title again is that I have a desire to be published in a magazine such as this. My musings, my philosophy, my jokes. Don't say anything about my jokes. I'm not a very good joke teller, but I am funny. Sorry. So I am committing to in the next year cycle to have submitted in order for publication to Breathe and maybe Yoga Journal and some other titles. So the first step of that process will be to decide what journals I want to submit my content to, and then write the content so I can submit it. So maybe you can help hold me accountable for that. I might regret saying that, but sometimes things come back into our life for a reason. And I certainly hope that you and I can come back into each other's lives in real time very, very soon, because we are on this journey for a reason. And we've been brought together to support one another, and that is an honor. So thank you. May you be well. May you breathe deeply, move freely, labor lovingly, and live vibrantly. May you do things more than once in order to learn the lessons of being your best self. Namaste. Thanks for letting me share my story.